Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson, and this is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
And tonight we are going to do a bit of a double feature, if you will.
Not a double feature, I suppose. Two movies at once because they're actually... It's like the original one and something like a remake, but not quite a remake.
Yeah. The first one is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that was done in 1971. And the Tim Burton one that came out in 2005, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you know.
There's two similar movies based on the same novel by Roald Dahl.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a good discussion, and it's hard to choose between the two because...
They're different.
Because in the 1970s one, it was it was trying to emulate the actual audience, trying to make the story sound believable. And the other one, which Tim Burton did, he was trying to focus more on trying to recreate the characters like they were in the book.
Yeah. But look, I think the first movie concentrated a little bit more on Willy Wonka than the little boy, and it's supposed to be Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, not Willy Wonka and the kids.
Yeah, see, Roald Dahl, he was not impressed with... Roald Dahl.
Funny name,
Yeah, he wasn't too impressed by the 1970s one. I'm not sure how would he feel about the Tim Burton one too much.
Well, as far as I'm
aware, he died in 1990.
That'd
so
kill him.
That will be... hard to say.
Roald Dahl is accredited as writing the screenplay for that, but there's a guy called David Seltzer who went uncredited, who did the rewrites for the studio before production.
When Roald Dahl was writing this, he didn't finish it in time for the deadline, so I guess they brought in this other writer to finish it.
No, I don't think that was the case.
Well, that's what I heard. Unless
I get the impression he wrote the script. They didn't like the endings and stuff and a few things, so they got to rewrite them.
Yeah. I gotta admit though, I often liked how each one they didn't end like, oh, the kid won, yay, woo, but it ended with a twist. You know, not a twist. I mean, adding a bit of extra to it, like in the Tim Burton one, it indicates that Willy Wonka was finding an heir, and when he found out that Charlie wished to bring his family aboard, he would not have it.
No, he said, "Oh, I don't want your family," because he was estranged from his father. See,
and he thought
he had to reconnect.
Yeah, and the other one, where in the 1970s one, I should mention, Willy Wonka didn't want. At first, was going to give Charlie anything in the end. He just said that he broke the rules and stuff like that.
So you're going to get nothing.
Yeah.
But he's waiting.
But then Charlie ended up giving his gobstopper away.
Everlasting gobstopper back. So,
and somehow this was a test.
As a test, yeah.
A lot of people probably now, I've talked to a lot of people on YouTube who said this is an unfair thing. If I were Charlie, I would have taken that gobstopper and sold it to Mr. Slugworth.
But it's about look, let's talk about that later.
I know,
let's get into
I've talked to a number of people on YouTube, and they all say different things. Like they even say, "Would Violet Beauregard didn't chew on the gum, she could have won and end up with the Chocolate Factory." But I don't...
Why? Because she was a nasty little bird who just didn't do what she was told, and she just did whatever.
Yeah, tell me about it.
She had an attitude problem. They all had an attitude problem apart from Charlie, who was supposed to represent the nicest and goodness of the little boy in the book.
When I first saw the first Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I try to... I guess I like so many people. I guess I try to model myself after Charlie.
Because you're a good little boy.
Because no one wants to be evil or twisted. It's not nice.
I did. No.
It's not really the best thing. And at the end of the day, you're being nasty. It doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah, it goes through all those stories for kids. The naughty kids don't get your thing. The nice kid does, and that was the theme of the movie.
Yeah, I read somewhere that Roland he had a hard childhood. He went to boarding school and he was bullied at school, probably by the headmaster too. And that's where he got the idea of getting, kids being mistreated and stuff like that for his stories, and how the good kids are awarded for their good behavior and the bad get badly punished.
Yeah, exactly right. And anyway, let's roll into it more.
Let's roll into this.
Now, the first movie, okay, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971 version. Actually, they're both musical fantasies.
Duh.
Okay, right. Now, the first one, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, produced by Stan Ghouls, I think, is that the right pronunciation? I think. Sorry, Stan, if it's wrong. And Dan Wolper. Directed by Mel Stewart. Screenplay by Roald Dahl. We said that before, and based on Roald Dahl's book. Okay. Second movie was actually produced by Brad Gray and Richard Zanuck. Directed by Tim Burton. Yay, Timmy. And screenplay by John August, still based on the same book. Now, major differences here is, I think, really that two things come to mind is the first movie was aimed more at younger children, I think. We discussed that the other day. We feel it was lighter enough for younger kids to really enjoy it.
And relate to.
Whereas the second movie was a little bit darker and heavivier, so for older kids, younger teenagers.
Having watched Tim Burton and grown up with him, he's always come off a little darker.
A little bit dark. Not good dark, but
a dark as in dark comedy-like.
Dark good, yeah. But the point is, I think he's saying the target market was just a fraction different.
But then again, Tim Burton has always been a different generation of filmmaker.
He is. He's fantastic. Now, the other thing that stands out is in the first movie, they brought somebody in to actually write the film scores for the movie, all new stuff. Whereas the second movie, I believe that Roald Dahl actually made some words up for the tunes, and they're actually in his book. And Danny Elfman took those and actually arranged them to use them in the movie.
Yeah, clever man.
And actually, Danny Elfman does a vocal bit. We'll talk about it a bit later on. But so Danny Elfman tried to stay true to the project, as did Tim Burton. The first movie was not like the book totally. The second movie was very close to it.
Yeah, I guess you have a good point. Oh, another thing, guys, I should mention. In 2017, they made a Tom and Jerry adaptation of the 1971.
I watched it. It was fun.
And it's where it shows bits and skits of Tom and Jerry trying
based on the first movie?
Yeah, based on the first movie, where Tom and Jerry try to help Charlie Bucket try to obtain a ticket, and they even tried to steal a box of chocolates.
Yeah, Tom and Jerry were cheating and stuff. Yeah, naughty.
Yeah, of course, being just and nice. Charlie tells them, "Take the box back."
That's naughty.
It's naughty. Yes. It's not right.
And they'll try and do the right thing for Charlie. Nice.
And eventually, just like in the story, in a funny way, he does eventually do the things in the movie and get them. And do a good job at it.
And the good little boy gets all the goodies. Yeah. Now, I'm going to go over. I don't talk too much because it's really hard when you're working with two.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Oh, two things. No, I normally talk about budget at the beginning. The first movie was made for about $3 million. The $3 million budget only made $4 million. And wasn't received all that well by reviewers. They're like mediocre sort of stuff. Oh, whereas, no, that's fair enough. Whereas the other one was made for a lot more bloody money. Had a budget of $150 million and made $475 million.
Wow, that's a lot, guys.
And it became the 8th highest grossing film worldwide in 2005. So,
sweet.
two different things. And I believe the reviewers liked the second movie better than the first movie.
True.
I can't think of anything before you start talking.
Okay, guys. So
take it away, Sarah.
Yes, so I do agree that this one is. I do like the 1971 a lot. But I'll tell you why my reasons. I like the songs. I like the Willy Wonka song where he sings about imagination stuff.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know Gene Wilder could actually sing. Actually, I saw him in other movies, but yeah, he's not a great singer, but he can certainly carry a tune.
Yeah, it's always my favourite song. And it appears in a lot of the stage musicals of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. If you haven't seen the musicals, I advise definitely go see the stage musical. Including if you're living in Australia at this moment, they'll probably be actually really doing it again over here again.
Well, might be doing it in America and England and other places as well, hey?
That's true. But it's always good to watch it, and there is 2 different adaptations of it from the UK and Broadway.
The dark one.
Well, they made it how Charlie gets the ticket and all that stuff is a little different on the stage plays. Both of them are different.
Okay.
Anyway, let's
along.
get into the 1971 version of it, and I'll try to tell you. I'll try to keep it brief as much as I can.
Yes. Ha ha ha
ha. Yes. So it begins with the intro. We see a lot of chocolates being made, yada, yada, yada.
Good intro.
Yummy stuff.
Food, chocolates.
Quite right. And and of course, Tim Burton did his own chocolate intro, which was a lot more Tim Burton style.
Yeah, a bit different.
Yeah. Anyway, then we cut to the school where we hear a clock chiming, say several times, whatever, saying school's out, whatever.
School's out for summer.
I'm not even sure if Alice Cooper was around then.
Whatever.
I don't think so. Anyway, back to the story. So, all the kids are running down to their favourite candy store, Bill's Candy Store, whatever they call it, and they're all getting their favourite goodies, and the Candyman is singing the Candyman song.
Yeah, which is quite interesting.
And it's still popular.
Sammy Davis Jr. Did the Candyman song. Actually, Sammy Davis Jr. wanted the role in the movie, as did several other people, and they didn't want a high-profile person selling candy. Oh. They wanted somebody who was relatively unknown, but you get a big star, you get Sammy Davis Jr. or somebody else there. They wanted somebody who's... You want to make it believable.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't get a well-known star. You're going to be selling chockies. No. So they got an unknown guy to do the song, but Sammy Davis actually cut it for the commercial market.
Yeah. Then we see Charlie just standing outside the candy store, probably wishing he could buy candy, but unfortunately his family can't afford it.
Yeah, they're very, very, very poor. I mean, they're so poor. No, I won't go make any jokes, but they're really, really poor. They've got no bucks. They've got nothing. They live on cabbage soup and stuff, which is a good diet. You know, you want to lose weight, but...
but it's not enough filling.
Not enough nourishment, no.
Anyway, he helps much as he can by doing a paper round, whatever.
Yeah.
With
paper deliveries,
with a newspaper man, a guy. And he gets paid a little bit, not too much.
Not a lot, no. He brought home a loaf of bread.
And then when he gets after his paperwork, he stands outside the chocolate factory of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and he meets a tinker who tells him about some creepy stuff, like saying that no one goes in, no one comes out, type
except
thing.
for the chocolates.
Yeah, in a creepy
very
way.
ominous
Throughout
sort
this
of,
movie, there's a bit of creepy
but
strangers
light
in this.
creepy. Yeah, nothing to scare kiddies too much.
Just some weird wacko stranger tells you something creepy, and it makes you wonder, shall I believe this?
By the way, just while here, the first movie we're talking about now was filmed in Germany.
Wow, it does have a German European.
Well, they were looking to get that sort of architecture and stuff when they're doing the shots and the villages and stuff.
I can see that. It had
I was going to talk about it later, but yeah, it was in that. Yeah,
it does look a bit Germany. Yeah. So anyway, Charlie cuts to home, and he tells them the good news that he got paid, and he gives some of it to his mum, and he gives the rest to his grandpa Joe.
Want to put it towards a little bit of tobacco.
Yeah, of course, Grandpa Joe says he's looking at giving it up because it's...
and he put the money aside. But he gives it back to him sort of later on in
a
nice way.
Later that night, as his mum sleeps and the others sleep, Joe is telling Charlie about the Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and its history.
Yeah. Don't go into it.
I won't.
But he used to work for Willy Wonka.
Yeah,
Enough, move on.
Yeah, see...
we had a long way to go.
See, Slugworth, an evil chocolate man, decided to send spies into Willy Wonka's factory and to steal the recipes. And this upsets Mr. Wonka, so he closed the factory. But then a couple
everybody.
and then the few years later, the factory started up again,
And
but
all
the
these
gates are
wonderful
still
chocolates
locked.
started coming out.
And but the factory remained closed. No one was allowed to go in.
Well, that's a bit wrong. The guys in the delivery vans would have to drive in, and someone have to load it, and then the vans would have to drive out again.
Yeah, true. So anyway, back to our story. Then we cross to the school where Charlie is helping Mr. Professor Turpentine. Is that the word?
Oh, something like it's not turpentine, but
Yeah, something like that.
Something like
He's
that.
a funny, weird guy who doesn't know
Weirdo,
anything about
real
science
weird.
or math.
or anything. He's an idiot.
Anyway, then boy tells them about how Mr. Wonka is opening the factory and he's going to let people in, but it has to be 5 people, and
5 special tickets to be released worldwide, hidden inside a bar of Wonka chocolates.
yeah. So the class was dismissed in a funny way, and of course, knowing Charlie, he's not. He thinks that there's a chance that he might be able to get a ticket, but
But you don't have a lot of money.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, in other parts of the book, Charlie only gets 1 chocolate bar a year because that's his birthday present,
Yeah, that's
if you
it.
will.
Well, actually, I can really, people. Yeah, I wasn't poor when I was growing up,
Yeah.
but when I was young, my dad passed away. Well, yeah, and Mum was a working class lady, and I was still at school. I didn't get any allowance. I had nothing from one week to the next, so I can see where Charlie and kids like that would come from, because there is nothing to go around. The money is made to pay the rent, put food on the table, and there's generally not a lot left over.
That's sad. Anyway, so everyone goes Wonka crazy, if you will.
Went bonkers for Wonkers.
Yeah, and we get a few skit bits here, mostly about people who are suspecting there was this man who created a machine and
computer.
in order to track down the winners, but unfortunately the machine was unreliable.
The computer had more morals than the man did.
Yeah.
Cheating.
Yeah, had Tim, the guy from The Goodies who plays Tim
something right
to be in that role. It was kind of funny.
Well, that'd probably be right, because wasn't that made?
Yeah, The Goodies came out probably around the 70s.
About the same period. Yeah.
So they had a lot of comedy actors in this movie. I like it.
Well, I'll tell you something about it later on, but yeah.
And there was a woman in one scene where her husband is kidnapped, and in return, the kidnappers want her case of Wonka bars.
Yeah, and she said to the police, "Can I think about it?" Yeah, so your husband or
Chocolate.
a box of Wonka bars.
What? Yeah.
A marriage made in heaven, guys.
Yeah.
Hey,
First, eventually the tickets do get found, and one of the ticket holders is a boy who's a bit of a gluttonist or named Gloop. Augustus Gloop. And let me
Little
see.
German boy.
And then the next one is Violet Beauregard. And her car salesman dad, if you will.
He's got a big mouth, and you think
speaks
it's
like
all
a
about
total
him.
guy.
Yeah.
Talks like a big mouth.
Coming next,
And then let me see. Veruca Salt.
Veruca Salt. Now I'm going to talk about her later on.
Total brat.
No, it's the girl who played Veruca Salt in this movie. Actually, even the other one, I don't think they could have picked better. She came out, especially this one. This one could sing, dance, act. Yeah, she was a very good. I mean, she didn't do much after. She did a lot of TV work after this and stuff.
It's interesting that out of all the characters, she got her own song in this movie.
Well,
I mean, apart from Willy Wonka and the Oompa Loompas, she was given us her own song.
And the one in the second movie didn't get a song because that was all done by the Oompa Loompas and
So anyway, moving on. The last 4th ticket holder is Mike TV, a boy who's obsessed with television.
Who wouldn't be? I grew up with television.
And obsessed with cowboy movies and whatnot.
Oh, mate, a lot of cowboys. He had a little cowboy hat on, a little cowboy gun, toy one,
Anyway, So the final ticket is still, they're still looking for
And then
it.
it gets found by somebody, was it Russia or somewhere?
Yeah, somewhere
And they found
in
it was a fake.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and at first Charlie is upset that this final ticket is definitely confirmed that it's been found, and there's no way in hell that he was going to get one. But then after school, he finds the money. He goes into the chocolate store that his friends go to, and he purchases two chocolate chocolate.
He had one, the first one, and he said, "I'll buy another one."
For his grandpa.
Yeah.
And then this is
nice
where
boy.
he hears Rumpus down at the newsstand. The guy he works for, who is selling newspapers, and he hears that the Russian guy was making a false ticket. And this is where Charlie realizes that he wants to open up his chocolate and find out if he's got,
Guess
the ticket.
what, guys?
He opens it up slowly at first, and then we see a gold edge, and then he pulls it apart, and there, behold, we've the final gold ticket! Yay!
Whoopie-doo, yay!
And then some lady grabs his wrist and tells him that he found the last golden ticket, and everyone wants to peek at it, and I would be very...
And people were offering to buy it off him for, no, leave him alone,
Eventually, the newspaper owner grabs Charlie and tells him to run straight home with his ticket. And Charlie does just that, and before he gets home, he gets stuck... he gets trapped by Slugworth, supposedly. And throughout this movie, the Slugworth is approached all four of the kids
trying
to tell them to bribe them to
get them to spy for him, and he'd pay them some nice money.
And
but the problem is, though, getting back onto the book, the Slugworth person was actually developed for this movie. He's just supposed to be another guy who had a shop.
Yeah,
It wasn't anything really important, but they developed his role.
Yeah, so this was an add-on, if you will, in this movie, which kind of made it a lot more exciting and more
an evil person in there.
Yeah, like I met this Slugworth. He was creepy. He had this huge scar on one of his cheeks.
Oh, he scared me. Ooh.
I was scared of him when I was little. I was really frightened. Anyway, Charlie heads home and he tells his grandparents and his mum the good news, and Grandpa is excited for him, and of course Charlie has to bring one parent with him,
and he wants somebody with him, and he picks his Grandpa Joe, who's been bedridden for so many years.
Yeah, eventually he gets up, and we get another song where he sings "I Got a Golden Ticket."
Well, right. Grandpa Joe does more so,
Yeah, and he does a bit of a dance routine.
Yeah.
And eventually they realise that tomorrow is the big day.
Woo.
So, but then Charlie lets slip that he ran into Mr. Slugworth. Ooh. So the next day we open in on the group of people, and there's a huge crowd, all reporters, kids,
nosy people.
Like if you were going to a film premiere, gosh knows, I don't know.
Red carpet job.
Yeah, and of course all the newspaper men are interviewing all the kids, and Charlie's all excited. And soon enough...
he was wetting his pants, he was. Yeah.
Oh, shut up. Anyway, the clock struck its chimes, yada yada, and then we see Mr. Wonka appear, and he slowly traipses up the red carpet.
He's very slowly, with a walking stick, very slowly, like he's a bit crippled and stuff.
Yeah, and then he stops halfway, and he does a bit of I don't know what's
a somersault.
A somersault.
And stands up. And actually, Gene Wilder brought that into the movie. He said, "I want to do it that way because you do that, and then you set the scene for nothing is as it appears. Everyone thinks he's a cripple, and he's not a cripple. So, what's next?"
That is a good.
That's where
way to go, Gene! I'm impressed.
Good on Gene. Yeah, man.
Too bad he's not here anymore, but I do applaud his efforts.
See, a lot of actors bring ideas to the table, which is good. Yeah. That was a good idea.
Yeah. Soon enough, he greets all the kids, and he took their tickets and all that stuff, and he escorts them inside the building and all that stuff. And this is where a lot of fun things happen, like the coat hangers start
The
grabs
coat
their
hangers,
stuff.
or the rack for the clothing and stuff, are actually hands on a wall.
Ooh.
You can get what's going to happen nowadays. They're actually interactive.
Yeah. I like it when one of the hats grabs Grandpa Joe's hat.
Actually, just getting back for just a moment, Willy Wonka, the role,
Yeah.
instead of Gene Wilder, people were clamouring to play the role, including all the 6 guys out of the Monty Python cast had their hand up for it. Amongst some other people, yeah. Yeah. And they were too popular.
Oh, I see.
They were too well known.
I see what you mean.
John Cleese. Oh, that's John Cleese. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. There's Michael Palin. Yeah,
I think I'm glad that Gene got in the end because
no, he did it good. But he was a known actor. Wasn't as big as some other people, and he worked it quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did well in some Mel Brooks's movies.
Yeah.
He did a good job. So back to this movie. So anyway, we do eventually get to some really crazy rooms. Like there's one room that's like that's a bit funny where they end up being crushed in.
Oh, it's a perspective type room. You start walking in the wall, the room gets smaller. Yeah. All the walls and floor and everything come together at one end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually he tells them about on the other side of the door, the small door, I should mention, there is a lot of great chocolate waiting them.
Things.
Yeah. He opens up with a special music lock. That's Rachmaninoff.
Rachmaninoff or something or other. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what the lady said
another
anyway.
reference to Rachmaninoff. Well, isn't Rachmaninoff?
Rachmaninoff.
I thought... Never mind. Anyway, we're moving back on.
It wasn't Rocky Horror Show. No,
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the famous piano player that back in the 1990s or something. I'm not sure. I can't. He played a lot of piano music.
I'll take your word for it. Move along.
Anyway, moving on. So the door opens and we see a beautiful spot of full of awesome candy trees and stuff like that.
Candy grass, candy trees, candy mushrooms.
I gotta admit though, I do think that whenever I look at Tim Burton's one, that had more the closer to what it looked like in the book more than everything.
And that's what Tim Burton does. Mm-hmm. Hey, Tim.
And of course, this is where in Gene Wilder sings the beautiful Imagination song.
Yeah. Look, the guy who wrote the tune, I can't remember his name, who wrote the tunes for the movie. He makes good tunes, don't get me wrong, but they're nothing like what Roald Dahl had anticipated because he wrote the tunes and they're actually in the initial book. So I don't know why he didn't use them.
I don't know. Anyway, moving on. So eventually the guests begin to snack on the candies and the bits and pieces.
Oh, yeah.
And I gotta admit, it looks
you
inviting.
can eat the grass. Must be mint leaves or something.
Yeah, it's quite delicious. Anyway, we then watch the adults mar the chocolate river and realizing they think it's polluted or something.
And they said it's chocolate.
Yeah, and all the kids are, this is exciting, chocolate river.
Liquid chocolate.
Yeah.
Actually, I will drop in here because I was doing comparisons. In the first movie, they used, I think, water coloured with cocoa, and it really didn't work properly. Ooh. When Tim Burton did it, he actually used real liquid chocolate.
It does look much
better.
No,
he did use liquid chocolate.
Yeah, well, it's more believable considering that chocolate is more richer.
It's thicker and the other one just looked too thin.
Yeah. I mean, after Augustus Gloop, the character, he was drinking it, and when he ended up falling in, and of course, wouldn't he be smeared in chocolate?
He would look like a fudgicle or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, Augustus ends up getting pulled towards one of the pipes, and he ends up getting sucked into one and getting stuck in it.
I won't go there, folks.
Yeah. Anyway, he eventually gets stuck, and then somehow he ends up getting... I guess the pressure behind him in the pipe.
Push him through the pipe.
Push him through the pipe just like a bullet coming out.
He went down the fudge room or somewhere, or where they seen somewhere in the factory?
Yeah, some kind of fudge room. And this is where we meet the Oompa Loompas, who, as it turned out, are workers for
the little guys.
And they've been working the factory for those many years that were why so many years of why the gates were locked and no one's been employed by Willy Wonka.
He had his own small workforce.
Yeah.
Of dwarves.
He does explain a good history here, but I'm not going to go into that too detail.
Actually, I will mention something. I believe there's a troupe of dwarf actors out there.
Yeah.
And I think I couldn't find anything on who they were, but I think they're part of that group, that troupe of actors.
Yes. See, there's some interesting stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the same as Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, another interesting thing, in Tim Burton's version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, they used an actual dwarf, but they kind of, in green screen, they made him a lot more smaller.
Yeah, he made him, he must have been something like...
not knee high.
Yeah, just below knee high, which would be something like a little over a foot tall, maybe.
A little smaller than a dwarf or something.
Yeah,
like
let's say 300 to 400 mils tall or something.
Yeah.
Rather. Yeah.
Anyway, that's what we've seen.
Man.
Anyway, Gustus Gloop gets taken up to the fudge room, and his mum is told to go with one of the Oompa Loompas and try to find him before he gets boiled.
Or whatever, yeah.
Anyway, the Oompa Loompas give us a nice song, yada, yada, yada.
And it's saying, based on the little kid, Gustus's naughty behaviour. So, yeah.
Yeah, throughout this movie, I won't have to...
It's all moral stuff.
It's all morals.
Yeah, about the Oompa Loompas saying, talking about how the kids were naughty and stuff and how they did that and they shouldn't have done that. They should be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and soon enough, Willy Wonka shows them an alternate transportation, the special boat that he's going to take them down to through the special tunnel. The tunnel is really creepy. When I was little, I was scared.
It's like a theme ride, somewhere in between Tunnel of Love and a ghost train. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was scary. I didn't like the bright lights and the
it was supposed to be scary, but it wasn't scary. It was just, ooh, it's okay on TV, but being in there would have been scarier.
Yeah. Anyway, eventually, when everyone couldn't take anymore, they yelled for Mr. Wonka and his men to stop the boat.
Stop, and it wasn't actually moving. It just pictures going past on the wall. Very clever.
Yeah, and eventually they arrived near the inventing room, and there's another room next to it saying hair cream, toffee cream,
whipped cream, coffee cream, hair cream, whatever.
I thought that was funny.
I liked it that don't dwell on it.
I liked it that Tim Burton made a joke in that movie where he says that the hair cream was to lock in moisture.
Yeah, whatever. But move on
anyway,
a little bit faster.
Of course, Willy Wonka explains to them, do not mess around in the...
Don't touch anything.
Do not touch, do not taste, do not tell.
Not through this area.
Yeah, because he goes on to mention how Slugworth will give his false teeth to enter here, so do not touch a thing. So they enter, and it's like, well, not exactly hygiene area when you think about it.
No, it's quite funny.
Some parents complained about who cleans your factory. It looks like it hasn't been cleaned and all that stuff.
It doesn't need to be cleaned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's clean dirt.
Yeah, and there's some funny bits where he's froze a clock inside a
time is important if this, so froze a clock in there. Another one says, he touched something. Is it too? It was too cool, so he threw a jacket in there to keep it warm.
And there was one bit where he froze some sneakers, and it says gives him a kick.
Yeah, give it a kick. Yeah.
And one of the parents notices butterscotch and butter gin.
Yeah.
It was funny, that part. Yeah. Candy, and Willy Wonka says, candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker.
Yeah.
Funny, that.
Yeah, what's funny?
Anyway, eventually they see the everlasting gobstopper machine, whatever, and of course the kids are anxious to see what it is because it's covered in lots and lots of colourful sheets.
Wouldn't they give you the sheets?
Anyway, Charlie wants to see how the machine works, so Willy Wonka presses the button, and out comes some awesome, pretty gobstoppers that look like
weird-looking things.
Yeah, and he tells them about them, and Violet and let me see, Veruca look at their dads, and their dads look at them, and I suspect that they probably have heard about the deal that they made with Slugworth.
Yes.
Yeah. So the kids want to have an everlasting gobstopper, each one of them. So he says he'll only give them to them if they solemnly swear not to reveal or show it to anyone about them and all that stuff.
Yeah.
See, the everlasting gobstopper is you can suck it
poor
forever.
Children.
Yeah, you can suck them all your life
And don't get any smaller.
never get any smaller.
What if the flavour goes away?
That's a good point. Maybe
No,
not.
You didn't say that.
It would matter to me.
I would. I want the flavour as well. Now, if I want strawberries and something, whatever, pineapple, I want all the fruity flavours.
Each kid was given one, and I don't know what happens to them after they get
Well,
maybe they lose them.
Well, we don't know.
I like to think that Violet's may have got crushed after she got...
Well, we don't know. The point is that Charlie gave his back.
Yes. Anyway, back to the story. So we then come to another machine, and it's a real eye popper when you look at it. And this one creates the special gum that has a four-course meal. Three-course meal.
An entree, main course, and dessert.
Yeah, and Violet, being the stupid one, decides to chew it.
And he says, "Don't, little girl." Yeah, but she did.
And of course, Wonka's saying, "Stop, please, do not do this."
He wasn't actually doing it very
very
heartily.
Yeah, and Charlie tries to ask Grandpa, why should she not listen to Mr. Wonka? And he says it's because she's a nitwit.
Yeah, and she was. Because what happened?
She begins to eat it, chew, and then eventually the blueberry pie comes along, and this is where her face turns blue, and she starts blowing up like a balloon.
And ends up like a dirty, great big blueberry. And he says, "I always have that trouble."
Yeah, he says that's in the other movie too. And of course, he then gets the Oompa Loompas to take her down to the juicing room and have a squeeze before she bursts.
Yes.
Or breaks.
Yes. Actually, yeah, it wasn't. I think isn't in the books he burst and had to get the piece and put it back together again.
Yeah, it was actually in the stage play. It was hilarious.
Yeah, you said that. That's not for kiddies, is it? No.
As I said before, Mike, you say that Tim Burton's was a little bit more scarier, but the stage play has a little bit more of a creepiness.
Yeah, but still done tongue in cheek. Yeah. But Tim Burton, he is a bit darker, aimed at slightly older kids. Yeah.
So the Oompa Loompas roll Violet and her dad into the juicing room, into the other rooms.
We don't see her again until the end of the movie. Yeah.
Well, we don't see her at all, anyway.
Oh, the other movie do. Yeah.
Anyway, back to our remaining contestants. They then head down the hallway. They see some nice lickable wallpaper. And he talks about how the snod berries are...
Oh, yeah, all these funny things which don't really exist, but yeah.
Yeah. Of course, Veruca says, "Who has had a snobberry?" in a horrible way, and he says something. Well, he tells her something that's...
Anyway, moving
along. They then go to a special room where they're making fizzy lifting drinks.
Yeah, all these bubbly things.
Yeah. And the kids are so anxious to try it, but Willy Wonka says, no.
It's still in an experimental stage at the moment.
But while they're heading off to the next room, Charlie and Grandpa Joe...
See, Grandpa Joe... this is where Grandpa Joe, he encouraged Charlie to have a drink.
Yeah.
Charlie didn't do it, and Grandpa Joe did. So, kiddies, do not always listen to the adults. They might get you into trouble, okay?
Yeah,
Have a think about
they tried it, and then all of a sudden they start floating in the air.
Around.
And then they start floating up and up, and soon enough there's a fan above them. And if they don't stop now, they'll probably end up getting cut to pieces.
Chopped and diced and sliced.
But luckily enough, Grandpa Joe worked it out. That
he burped, and he started to go down. He tells Charlie, "Burp a little bit, and you'll come down."
Yeah.
And I'm Bert, fart, whatever, Yeah.
I think it's a better alternative. So they eventually get back on the ground, and they head back and catch up with the others.
Yeah.
And where in the next scene we see Willy Wonka showing them some geese that lay golden eggs.
Some geese, big ones, about 3 or 4 times the size of a normal goose. Yeah.
Yeah, and
or lady goose. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, interesting thing is in this scene, in the original story, it was going to be squirrels in the nut room, all that stuff like that. But I guess it's more appealing to kids of different
the goose
in
that
other
laid
worlds.
the gold, these big golden chock eggs or whatever.
And considering that we're everywhere So everywhere around the world, everyone knows what chocolate eggs are.
Yeah, and the goose that laid the golden egg out of the fairy tales.
So anyway, Veruca Salt, she wants one. She's all about wanting everything and everyone.
She wants everything all the time. She wants it now.
And this is where she has that interesting song I mentioned. And then after it ends, she has a temperamental. And then
wait. When the geese lay the golden eggs, they get weighed and checked, and it says this is a good egg, it goes to wherever, and if it's a bad egg, it goes down the garbage chute. And Veruca jumps up on the platform where the eggs go. And take it away, Sarah.
She then goes down, and the egg thing says bad egg.
And that's what Willy Wonka says. Oh, it must be a bad egg.
And then her dad tries following her down.
And he ends up going down the chute too.
Yeah, because he found out that the garbage chute leads to a furnace.
And that we ain't lied every other day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's today, is it? Yeah.
According to the book and Tim Burton's version, it was out of order, or at least broken.
That was the second movie.
But in this one, it was never mentioned. So,
no.
But I like to think that there was a big fighting chance they may have gotten out.
I'd like to think so. They did, yeah.
Anyway,
no kitties were hurt during the making of this movie.
Anyway, Oompa Loompas sing another song telling her how it was mostly her father and mother's fault for giving into her demands, and more than hers.
But I must admit, that was a good song she did. She was a very clever little girl.
Anyway, back on the story, our heroes continue on, and they end up going onto a special, I don't know what they call it, but it's an interesting vehicle that has a lot of ginger ale, whatever you call it.
Something like somewhere between a truck and a tractor, and it's run on soda pop.
That's it. And I liked what Grandpa Joe says. He says it has a lot of
you've got more gas than politicians, or something like that. And I'll just say, not politically correct, but never mind.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It was 1970s. It's okay for me. It's my okay. So anyway, the car it starts up, and then it starts fizzing, buzzing, and then it's spewing all this foam like a washing machine.
A bad washing machine.
Yeah, and it was so funny watching the expressions of Mike TV and his mum. It was so hilarious. And eventually they go for a special car wash thing
to clean them up,
that cleans them up in an interesting way.
Yeah.
And eventually they arrive at another room that's the chocolate TV room, whatever.
Yeah. They're transporting chocolates.
Yeah.
From the factory. No, the idea was transfer chocolate from the factory to your home.
Exactly.
So yes, taste this. Oh, goody.
Yeah, of course.
They did a sample, and then Mike TV wants to go. He wants to.
Yeah, not realizing the dangers of the situation.
And they made him in a teeny weeny little boy. He's about 3 inches tall or something.
He didn't think about the fact that he may not even be back to his regular size.
Maybe 4 inches tall.
And Willy Wonka suggested that he should be placed in the
taffy pulling room and then make him a little boy stretch,
Yeah, and Mike TV's mum is a little less thrilled about it. She ends up fainting, and she's being dragged away by the poor dragon.
No, poor Oompa Loompas were overworked. Union dispute.
Yeah. Then later on we see Charlie and Grandpa Joe and Wonka moving getting ready to get going, and Wonka is looking through his letters saying, "I must get this I must
and
message
he's
this
ignoring them.
And he tells them that I'm glad you like this the tour.
Now bugger
off.
Yeah.
And Charlie doesn't understand why he's not given his prize.
And Willy Wonka tells them, you broke the rules.
Yeah.
You touched the stuff in the bubble room and stuff. Now got to clean all the walls and stuff. You damaged the place.
Yeah.
And Grandpa Joe rips into Willy Wonka, and they start leaving.
And Grandpa Joe he definitely thinks that we should definitely give Slugworth this Godstopper and all that stuff. But Charlie has second thoughts and gives it back to Willy Wonka. And
like saying he's sorry, he didn't mean it, and he didn't say those words, but the feeling was there.
Yeah.
And that's what Willy Wonka was waiting for. Somebody of a pure heart.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then
yeah,
he
love it.
embraces the kid and tells him that you won.
Everything.
Yeah. And then Mr. Wilson, who turns out to be Slugworth in disguise.
Well, no, it's the other way around. Mr. Wilson is pretending to be Slugworth.
Yeah. See, he's been tracking these kids probably, and
yeah.
I don't know how he did it. I mean, maybe how he knew where the ticket would arrive, who to approach.
Who knows?
I know the media would have gotten wind of it, but it doesn't make
But
sense
he
how.
knew.
Yeah.
Somehow or other. Magical.
I like to think maybe somehow the tickets had a transmitter inside them, maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Eventually, they end up in the special glass elevator with Mr. Wonka.
Takes you anywhere.
Yeah, and Mr. Wonka tells Charlie to press one of the a special button that he never presses before.
Yeah, and it goes up through the roof.
Yeah.
And it starts floating all over the village.
And then Willy Wonka tells Charlie that this factory is now his.
Yes.
And now Charlie's, I mean.
Yeah.
And this...
So you get all the chocolate you want, but you're responsible for the Oompa Loompas and whatever.
Yeah, because it's up to Charlie to continue making chocolates and stuff.
Yeah, take over the business.
Yeah.
He wanted the kid. He didn't want an adult to take over. Was that or that the other movie?
Yeah, I think that's the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this one.
They're on the same basis. I mean, didn't want somebody else, an adult, because
Yeah.
they want to do it their way. He wants the kid to go and do it his way. Yeah, which you got to.
And of course, Charlie's more than thrilled to do this, and Willy Wonka's going to share all his chocolate making secrets. So
And Grandpa Joe and everybody's allowed to come and live there happily ever after. Full stop. Good.
and then the credits roll. The end.
Okay, now the minor changes in the second movie. It was more about, I suppose, the story's taken more from the book, which is more about the boy, not Willy Wonka, even though Willy Wonka played a big part in the second movie.
And considering they added a bit of a backstory in Tim Burton's version.
Yeah, they had to give a backstory to Willy Wonka, why he was like he was. So but it did work a lot better in line with the book story.
True.
Now, let's get on to special effects. Back in the olden days, back in 71, it was just basic sort of stuff. Yeah, bit of green screen, maybe some sets and whatever. When they came to do the other one, the second one in 2005, the idea Tim Burton thought would stay away from CGI as much as possible. Of course, we're working with kids. They're going to want to have to interact with things, and it's better if they can actually see what's going on, not trying to imagine there's going to be something over there which isn't. So everything was done, sets were done on a large scale, and they did this and they did that to try and make it as real as possible for the kids. Even so far as he went down the chocolate river was actually real chocolate. And there's a part there with the squirrels testing the nuts in it. They were real trained squirrels. They weren't CGIs. But for some parts they made some CGI squirrels. And all the close-up stuff was all trained squirrels.
You mean they really attacked Veruca Salt in that?
The ones were sitting all over Veruca, sitting there going, yeah, they were real squirrels.
I would have thought that would have been a safety hazard.
No, they were trained. They were trained with handled. From the day they were born, they were handled by handlers and interacted with, and they knew how to behave the same way you train a dog or a cat. So it was quite funny, but they wanted to keep it as real as possible. And he did. Tim Burton has a way of, even in fantasy, even when it's totally implausible, he tries to make it feel like it's real. And that's a major difference in the two movies.
Yeah.
Same basic storyline. Now let's move on to the two Willy Wonkas.
Yeah.
We had Gene Wilder playing a nice, kindly, normalish sort of guy in the first movie, and then you got Johnny Depp is playing a real weirdo. And Johnny Depp plays weirdos really good. And this is that is the big difference in that role is that Johnny Depp makes him really strange and weird. Alien-like almost. He's really weird, and I think he takes Willy Wonka to a different level.
Yeah, I gotta admit though, I did thought it was interesting that Tim Burton wanted to dive into Willy Wonka's backstory.
Well, actually, he did that, but I think part of it was Tim Burton actually went over to where Roald Dahl lived, and he went over and visited where he used to live, and even went into the back shed where he did his writing, his writing room.
Wow.
And he said, this is where Charlie Bucket lives. And Roald Dahl's daughter or granddaughter said, "Oh, finally somebody gets it." You see, the other people who get it, who've been there and trying to make the movies, didn't get the feel that Roald Dahl had, and where Tim Burton did.
Yeah.
Interesting, hey? Now, my other favourite I want to talk about, Veruca Salt. I mentioned the first one. She went on to do a lot of television work and whatever, telemovies and television episodes of different things. She's had a good career, but as a child actor, singer, dancer, she was incredible in that first movie. But they didn't give the second movie a chance because everything was done by the Oompa Loompas. Now, this guy called Deep, what's his name? Deep Roy. He plays all the Oompa Loompas. Now he had. I don't know how he did it. Multiple layering, different things.
He probably did multiple layering.
And whatever. But the fact he's doing all the dance routines and singing, but he's not singing.
Yeah.
The vocals are all done by Danny Elfman, the musical arranger. Mm-hmm. And it all comes together so seamlessly. And it just, you go, what the hell? You know,
Another thing I should mention, you know that the first Charlie Bucket, the kid who played him.
Yeah.
Peter.
What's his name?
Yeah.
Who's McGlickets? Peter Ostrom.
Yeah. He hasn't, after he did Charlie and the Chocolate, Willy Wonka and the Charlie Factory, he didn't do any more acting after that.
No, he went back to having a normal life and he became a vet, was it?
Yeah, he became a vet for cows, sheep, and other livestock stuff.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, getting back to that.
And he doesn't do any interviews whatsoever because I guess he wants to put that part of his life behind him.
But getting back, the first movie with Gene Wilder had Gene Wilder, who I knew, and Jack Albertson, I knew him from different shows. But in the second movie, look at this, we had Johnny Depp playing Willy Wonka, Freddie Highmore as a kid playing Charlie Bucket, David Kelly, I know him from some TV programs, I can't remember. Helena Bonham Carter was in there. And then some other people well known. He used a lot of well known actors in the second movie. And I think it really helped because they'd be, I know the person, that's it. And it was so good. But getting back to what I said about Monty Python guys, they all wanted to be in the first movie, and when they had to do the second movie so many decades later, they were still considering some of the Monty Python guys the second movie because they gained a bit more market with the actors.
Cool.
So interesting that. Now, the first movie that was made in Germany, Bavaria, mainly, whereas the other one I think was made in Pinewood Studios in England.
That's no surprise.
Yeah. Now, when Warner Brothers, before Tim Burton came on the scene, they were considering for Willy Wonka many people from this list: Bill Murray, Christopher Walken, Steve Martin, Robin Williams, Nicolas Cage, Jim Carrey, Michael Keaton, Robert De Niro, Brad Pitt, Will Smith, Mike Myers,
You're
Ben
kidding
Stiller,
me.
Leslie Nielsen, John Cleese, Harry Keitel, Michael Palin.
You're joking, are you, right?
Patrick Stewart and Adam Sandler, Dustin Hoffman, Marilyn Manson, all wanted the role.
You're kidding me.
All these people wanted the role. They said they probably saw the original movie, loved it so much, so they thought, I could really get off in the air. And they all wanted to have a go with it.
I could not picture Patrick Stewart, not for a second. Not Bill Murray or Steve Martin. Thank you much.
No, yeah.
I can't see them in that role. I can't see them wearing the top hat.
Robin Williams, maybe. He had a pinch, maybe. But the point is, the other guys there, Johnny Depp, he just brought something different to it. Yeah. When you look at it, he plays Edward Scissorhands, a strange role. He plays Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean. He plays other strange roles. He does strange characters.
I just can't see Will Smith playing that. No, I'm not being racist or anything. It's just
no.
I just can't see him in that role. Sadly, I'm not being racist or anything. It's just
they're good actors, but you got to get the right actor for the right role,
See,
and I think that's why they went through all these people.
See, Will Smith, I consider him a sexy but awesome actor. I also think of Johnny Depp as an awesome actor,
think he's great.
but in different ways, mostly.
I can't imagine Johnny Depp in a straight role.
Me neither.
You see, there's a difference, see? And yeah, you look at that and say, you got somebody like Johnny Depp handles the character roles a lot better. I have not seen him in a straight role, I can't compare him. But the other guys they're using action heroes or a comedy role or something else.
Yeah.
Then don't do the weird character roles. They just have their own personalities.
Yeah, I know Steve Martin. He does his own comedy, but it's not.
But it's always the same.
It's not the same kind of comedy.
Yeah, but Steve Martin always the same no matter what movie. He does comedy good, but he's always Steve Martin in the comedy routine.
Putting the he's like the straight man.
Not straight man, but
you know what I mean.
But he plays a straight comedy role.
That's what I mean. He's
doesn't do character
a straight
roles.
comedy guy.
Yeah.
He's not the weird Willy Wonka type.
The weird character roles, exactly right. Yeah.
I can't see him as Willy Wonka.
I mean, they're all good actors. Don't get us wrong. I know we're not bagging any of them, guys. But you've got to get the right person for the right role.
Yeah, because there's a right way and a wrong kind of comedy way to get. I mean, if you get the wrong kind of comedy, you may sink the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what would have happened if Patrick Stewart
I can't see
board.
Patrick. I mean, Patrick Stewart did like the Cannibal Ghost stuff. That was fun, but this is totally different.
He wasn't funny, ha ha.
No, but he probably can force his way through stuff and do things, but he's more of a Shakespearean actor.
That's what I mean. He's more of a Shakespearean type actor, not he doesn't come off as ha ha comedy, coming up with funny skit bits or funny jokes, stuff like that. I just can't see it. I guess it's all about the character you portray mostly. If you can pull it off.
Yeah, that's our whole point. But anyway,
I'm
not going to talk too much.
We shouldn't just talk about that.
Oh, hang on. Wonka's Viking boat in the second movie.
That one was really cool.
For the Chocolate River sequence that floats down a realistic river filled with, sit down guys, 192,000 gallons of faux melted chocolate.
Yum.
192,000.
Wow.
That's a lot of chocky. I wonder what they did with it when they finished it.
Make a chocolate cake?
Or
for the wrap-up party?
No idea.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know either, Mike. I mean, I don't know what they would do to recycle something like that.
Well, I heard a story. Any kiddies listening to this? Back in the old days of Prohibition and stuff in the Roaring '20s, sometimes they got the local showgirl or whatever to have a bath in champagne.
Okay, I'm listening.
Now, this lady was reported to have got into this tub, and they poured all these bottles of champagne. Let's say they put in 3 dozen bottles of champagne or whatever, to have a bath. And the idea was for charity or fundraising or whatever it was, they were going to rebottle it and sell the bottles. Wait a minute. When they put the champagne back into the bottles, they found they had an extra bottle.
You're kidding me, right?
She peed in it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they still sold the champagne or not.
Yeah,
but.
not to mention that Augustus Gloop, or its actor, fell into the thing and he may have even wet himself in there. But you think
about little things, what do they do with all this? That's a lot of liquid chocolate. Do we just pour it down the toilet or
I don't know.
Take it, wait for it to go sold and break it up and sell it off
I wonder how they kept it liquid.
They would have actually, I reckon, I don't know how far, if it's fake stuff.
I know.
So it wouldn't go off as fast as real stuff. Mm-hmm. Might be okay for a day or two. So they would have to get it, melt it, keep it at whatever temperature to keep it fluid and do the shooting over a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And then just drain it off and do whatever they're going to do with it.
I've been wondering that since it came out, since you mentioned it, I kept wondering how would something like that keep from hardening?
It's fake stuff. Mm-hmm. Some of the chocolate you get fake cream on them. Mm-hmm. You get mock cream. Well, same sort of thing. The mock cream doesn't go off as fast as natural cream does. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the fake chocolate will hold its what's the word? Its usability longer. So, but like I said, maybe a week, maybe a few days. I don't know how long it'll last before it goes off. But then again, you get back to square one. What do you do with it? You say, okay, everyone bring a cup, start drinking. No.
No, I don't know what they would do. Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, so what do you? Should we rate both movies or should we rate one
I'm
of
going
them?
to rate them both separately.
Me too. I
Yeah,
think.
I'll rate them both and compare them when I do it and reasoning why I gave them or whatever. Okay, first movie, Gene Wilder. Mm-hmm. That was the first movie I saw. Mm. I was impressed with the movie.
Me too. It's relatable.
But back in those days, different style of movie making back then. Okay, you didn't have the CGI, you didn't have all that sort of stuff. So that period when they made that movie, they did what they could of what they had, and I think it was pretty good. I'll give it about a 9. Now, when you get a guy like Tim Burton comes along, he's got all this other good stuff, and I'm not going to say necessarily a better imagination, but he knows how to use imagination better than some other people and make it come to the screen better. He has the use of more technology now, even though he didn't use a lot of CGI. He's got other things, other skills the other guys haven't got. So I'm going to give this one, the Johnny Depp one, the Tim Burton one, I'm going to give it a 10. So the first one 9, second one 10.
Okay, I'm going to rate both of them myself. So the 1971 I really like because it was very relatable, and Charlie and all the other kids, not just the 4 other nasty kids, but the rest of the other kids seem believable.
Yeah.
Like
they wanted to make him believable. Yeah.
Like they're the kids in my school when I used to attend school.
Yeah, little cretins you went to go to school with,
Yeah, incidentally, guys, when I was little, we would often read the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. When I was growing up, and every time we got to the next chapter, our teacher Ted says, "Okay, that's about it for us today. We'll read the rest next week or something like that." And I get,
actually, when I was at school, I used to read Shakespeare and stuff. It's not quite the same, is it? No.
Well, this is different. Anyway, I give 1971. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10.
Ooh, how about
because it's very relatable and some kids, as you said, Mike, before, that most back then and now, that there are some things kids can never get. They cannot be winners all the time.
Different economy. I grew up in a poor household, and we didn't have anything. Dad passed away. Mum was a widow, and I didn't have any allowance or anything. So yeah.
So it's very relatable.
I can identify with Charlie Bucket quite easily.
Yeah, so he's relatable. So anyway, the second one, the 2005
the
Tim Burton one, I do think I like the fantasy and how Tim Burton was able to use all the elements from the book.
Yeah.
And created that interesting world that Roald Dahl created in his imagination.
And if Roald Dahl was alive, I think he would have liked it. His family liked it, I think.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, well, they supported the Tim Burton version of it. They gave them the sign-off as long as they had a controlling interest in the production, the artistic part of it, and the cast selection, I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they had a bit of a say in what went on, and I think they would have been quite happy with it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Actually, one thing, the songs. Did we say that the songs that they used in the second movie?
The songs were
taken out of the book.
Yeah.
And Danny Elfman did the musical arrangement for it. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So, I'm going to rate, I guess, the 2005 one. I'm going to rate it 9 out of 10. It's not being rude or anything. It's just that
you like the first one because of memories.
Because it has a bit of a, believable, relatable, innocent kind of feeling to it.
Yeah,
you know?
And the other one's a little bit darker, made for a slightly older audience. Young teenagers more instead of younger single-figure children. Yeah. Now, before we go, reception on both movies, which I didn't mention, but the 1971 was mediocre. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. That's just the reception I had. Where this one was leading towards more a positive review. Okay, I won't go all through all the reviews. There's too many of them.
There's too many.
Now, availability, guys. The Willy Wonka, the original one, on eBay, plenty for sale. Amazon, rentable, and I believe plenty for sale from what I can see.
Cool.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, plenty for sale on eBay. Amazon, same again, rentable and plenty for sale.
And those who like the video games can definitely get those
I will
too.
say one thing, even with the 2005, be careful, because there were some late entries of the VHS market in there. If you're picking it and you ain't got a VHS player, don't click on the wrong item. Because most people think, oh, they still have VHS then? Yeah, that was right at the end of the VHS market by the look of it. So be careful. Now, yeah, so if in doubt, rent it, have a good look at it, like it, buy it, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're both worth a look for two different reasons.
Yeah, so guys, if you haven't watched either or read the book, I advise definitely check them out and give us in the comments which one's your favourite of Ronald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Roald Dahl was a prolific writer of children's books, didn't he? Something in the Giant Peach.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. What was his kid's name? I can't remember. I didn't read these books. Something in the Giant Peach.
He also did Matilda,
Big Friendly Giant,
and the Big Friendly Giant.
And then he turned around and he wrote some James Bond scripts.
Yeah, he did.
So he was a very, very talented man.
I think he had a hand in Chee Chee Bang Bang. I think I may be
wrong. That would have been a children's story. Yeah.
Even though that was more of an Ian Fleming's book when I think about it.
Yeah, but someone's got to write the screenplay.
I suppose.
Yeah, so, and I think he might have come to the screenplay side of it. I don't know. Actually, I have to look at that. Anyway, I think that's a bit for me. Yeah. I don't think I can talk about anything else.
Yeah, I don't think I could talk about anything else. I mean...
We could talk all night on it, but...
I would talk about the other one, 2005 one, but I'd be saying the same thing over and over.
The same sort of basic storyline, yeah.
Because there's some similar characteristics there.
It's just the main thing is that the first movie is based more on Willy Wonka, and the second movie is based more on Charlie. That's another... that's another bit. Apart, if you take out the character development of Willy Wonka, there's more Charlie in it.
Yeah. The one other difference in both movies is that Charlie in the first movie didn't have a dad, and in the second one he does. In the 2005
That's
one,
right,
he does.
Yeah.
Even though it's in the book that his dad was alive and all that stuff.
But he wasn't needed in the storyline.
No.
So, but Helena Bonham Carter played his mother in the second movie, and I like her. She's been in Harry Potter movies. We saw her in 12th Night or something. Yeah. I'm saying this. She's very adaptable. She was in Sweeney Todd.
Tim Burton's other movie. I should mention.
She's a very good actress, and she's very believable. I mean, I think this one didn't show her skills as much.
No, she's not. She's playing just the mum.
Yes, the mum. Yeah, but I mean, she's a really good actress. I like her.
Well, just a supportive character role.
Yeah, and she likes the darker movies too.
Yeah.
Look at Sweeney Todd. That was a bit of a dark movie.
Yeah, not to mention, I should mention in the 2005 one, Christopher Lee makes an appearance as...
Yeah, he plays Willy Wonka's father, who's a dentist. And that's scary enough, isn't it? Who wants to go to a dentist?
Yeah.
Anyway, we better go. We're getting
guys.
long here at the moment. That's not bad for two movies.
I hope you guys enjoyed this double feature.
I did.
So enjoy it and let us know in the comments which one's your favourite of the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movies.
Well, I like both of them. I do prefer the Tim Burton because I like what Tim Burton does to a movie and a story.
Yeah, so check them out and let us know in the comments what you think.
Okay,
all right,
guys.
This is Sarah Stephenson.
And Michael.
Saying we'll see you guys for our next podcast. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.